Welcome to Xiao Voice. Continuing from the previous episode 132. When the disciples from the burning flame valley in the empty ground saw Xiao Yan rub away the trace of blood from the corner of his mouth, continue to stand as straight as a spear, and emit a sharp aura as he did so, all of them became speechless. None of them had expected Xiao Yan to endure Wu Chen's fierce attack. 5 exchanges has passed. On the stairs, Tang Zhen exhaled a gentle breath as he slowly announced. At this moment, his eyes also contained a faint surprise when they looked at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan being able to last for 5 exchanges in Wu Chen's hands without falling had caused him to feel a little surprise. After all, he understood Wu Chen quite well. An 8-star Do Zong was definitely considered a top-tier expert across the Central Plains region. Tang Huo ear by the side also gently nodded. Her eyes contained a curious glint as they stared at Xiao Yan. This young man, who was of similar age to her, seemed to always surprise others. Wu Chen's body also gently drifted down from the sky. His foot violently stomped on the ground as a majestic force surged out. Immediately, the hard stone floor under his foot shattered into a cluster of powder. After gently waving his sleeves, Wu Chen narrowed his eyes, and he looked at Xiao Yan a short distance away. He commented in a faint voice, "It is not a bad Do skill, and it is very strong. However, the gap between our strengths is too large. It is likely that even I would not dare to easily receive this strike." Xiao Yan's heart let out a cold laugh in the face of Wu Chen's words. The solemnness on his face became denser. Regardless of how much he disliked Wu Chen, he was an 8-star Do Zong. If Xiao Yan did not seriously threaten him, it was likely that he would have difficulty enduring for 10 exchanges. Moreover, he was unable to use the Skyfire 3 mysterious change in this place. Otherwise, it might end up being something that Wu Chen and the others could use against him. At that time, it was likely that whatever he said would be useless. This old fellow's sky-shattering stone steps has an extremely fierce explosive force. However, it is fortunately not as agile as the 3000 lightning movement. There are still 5 exchanges left. It looks like I must go all out. Xiao Yan's expression became more solemn. A majestic, jade-green Do Qi filled his entire body. This Do Qi was like a flame as it wrapped around him. Wave after wave of dense heat was repeatedly emitted from the Do Qi. However, if you only possess these skills, it is likely that you will not be able to endure the remaining 5 exchanges. Wu Chen smiled. A gloating expression, that was difficult to hide, was present in his eyes. He clenched both of his hands and a firelight lingered over it. His warhammer-like large hands were clenched and the surrounding space formed a slight distortion. Wu Chen's voice had just sounded when his feet once again violently stormed forward. The stone floor under his feet blasted apart. His body emitted a swoosh sound and a deep sonic boom. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Xiao Yan, who was 100 meters away. The red figure flashed within the dark black eyes of Xiao Yan. His face changed slightly, and the 3000 lightning movement was used in reflex. His body also hurriedly withdrew a couple of steps in the process. Rip! A red figure suddenly arrived just as Xiao Yan was pulling back. The figure grabbed onto Xiao Yan's clothes as a fiery red glow swept forth, tearing his clothes and causing a trace of blood to appear. Xiao Yan's body rushed back. His expression was as deep as water while he glanced at the naked hand of Wu Chen. There were 5 bright red blood traces there. The 5 blood scars had just appeared when they were covered by a seared black color. Clearly, Xiao Yan was wounded by Wu Chen's pure young cotton hand. Your reflexes are not bad. However, you will not be so lucky next time. Wu Chen randomly tossed aside the cloth fragment. He glanced at Xiao Yan, who was swiftly withdrawing, and laughed. Xiao Yan's expression was a little gloomy. There was indeed too much of a gap between an 8-star Do Zong and a 1-star Do Zong. If he had not relied on the effect of the 3000 lightning movement, it was likely that Xiao Yan would have already been injured by Wu Chen. Nevertheless, it was much better when compared with the situation of being only able to flee for his life when he met Fei Tian back then. At the very least, Xiao Yan was still able to retaliate a little even though he appeared a little miserable. If this continues, it is likely that I will really have difficulty enduring without using the angry Buddha lotus flame. A glint swiftly flashed through Xiao Yan's eyes while his body swiftly pulled back. This time around, I shall completely end this. Wu Chen's eyes calmly watched Xiao Yan as he swiftly pulled back. Wu Chen's foot was once again lifted before it suddenly descended. Xiao Yan's swiftly withdrawing figure suddenly came to a halt when Wu Chen's foot had just landed. His foot also violently stomped on the ground. The powerful strength shattered the hard stone floor into powder. He swung his sleeves and the powder formed dust as it spread apart, causing one's sight to become extremely blur. The dust that spread apart did not cause Wu Chen to pause. He coldly let out a simple trick laugh before his body let out a swish sound as it rushed forward. Wu Chen figure was rushing forward and was just about to charge into the permeating dust when a figure sprang out from within it. After which, a silver glow flickered and it hurriedly fled. You wish to escape? Although that figure was extremely fast, it was still immediately discovered by Wu Chen. After a moment of surprise, a cold laugh was emitted. Wu Chen's body suddenly turned and appeared in front of the figure within a breath's time. After which, the large hand that contained a fiery light viciously slammed into Xiao Yan's back. This palm was firmly slammed into the figure. Its vast and mighty force sent Xiao Yan flying. Immediately, that figure fell onto the ground 100 meters away amid numerous cries of surprise. The hard ground cracked apart and numerous arm-thick cracks appeared. Quite a number of Burning Flame Valley elders had a slight change in their expressions as they stood on the stairs. Tang Huo covered her small mouth. She did not expect Xiao Yan to reveal such a large opening to Wu Chen. Xiao Yan's body, which had landed on the ground, staggered up. However, Wu Chen merely frowned. His body moved and appeared beside him. After which, he grabbed Xiao Yan's neck and slowly lifted him up. Immediately, a faint voice was emitted, admit defeat. If the old me wanted to kill you, you would have already lost your life. Xiao Yan's feet landed on the ground after his neck was grabbed by Wu Chen. His pale white face, however, revealed a strange smile as he said in a hoarse voice, 9 exchanges. Wu Chen was startled when he heard these words from Xiao Yan. Before he could recover, Xiao Yan, whose neck had been grabbed by him, immediately let out a bang and exploded. After which, he suddenly disappeared. The sudden scene caused most of the people present to feel stunned. Even Wu Chen, who was involved, was startled for a moment. After which, he suddenly reacted to the situation. His eyes immediately landed on the spot covered by dust. At this moment, the dust had gradually become thinner. A vague figure slowly walked out of it. Immediately, that familiar face that wore a smile appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Spiritual avatar? Wu Chen's expression gradually turned gloomy. A moment later, he finally spat out 2 words from between his teeth. Xiao Yan involuntarily smiled when he saw Wu Chen's gloomy face. This old fellow had been tricked by him. That old man had caught the spiritual avatar and had such fun beating it up. Tang Zhen slowly nodded on the stairs. His eyes contained some admiration. Xiao Yan was able to use this tactic to divert Wu Chen away. If that spiritual avatar was a little stronger, it was likely that Xiao Yan would have been able to muddle through these 10 exchanges. Tang Huo by the side also sighed in relief. She immediately curled her mouth and laughed. This Xiao Yan is really cunning. Wu Chen was looking at the smiling Xiao Yan with a gloomy expression within the battleground. A moment later, he inhaled a deep breath of air and said, "The old me has indeed underestimated you. However, you need not be so happy. There is still one last exchange. This time around, the old me will definitely not hold back." A ruthless expression flashed across Wu Chen's eyes when his words sounded. Clearly, he had lost a great amount of face from having come close to a loss by Xiao Yan's hands this time around. The bright red glow was just like a flame at this moment as it repeatedly surged out of Wu Chen's body. In the end, even his white hair turned into a fiery red color. Looking from a distance, he appeared just like a fire god descending. He was filled with a frightening might. The expressions of Tang Zhen and the others on the stairs slightly changed when they saw this aura. All of them were aware that this time was going to be the start of a serious fight. However, it was really a little too much of a bully's move to use such a powerful do skill against someone from the younger generation. This old fellow is really becoming shameless these days. Tang Zhen slowly said. The anger within his voice was something that everyone present was aware of. This valley chief of the Burning Flame Valley was indeed furious this time around. The second elder by the side opened his mouth, but could only shut it again in the face of the frightening pressure that spread around Tang Zhen. He too did not expect Wu Chen would be forced by Xiao Yan to act like this. Wu Chen did not sense the fury of Tang Zhen. At this moment, his heart was similarly filled with anger. He had suffered a loss in Xiao Yan's hands despite his strength. This was something that he had difficulty accepting. Moreover, this had occurred in front of so many people. The surrounding natural energy around Wu Chen had become wild, violent under influence of his majestic, mighty fire Do Qi. An instant later, numerous arm-sized cracks began to spread under his feet in all directions, with his feet being the center. Soon after, his toes suddenly pressed down. Bang! A loud and clear sound appeared. Wu Chen's body transformed into a fiery light that shot out in a lightning-like manner. Within a breath's time, he appeared above Xiao Yan's head. His old face vaguely possessed a savage expression. Dominating fire demon palm, the enormous hand was covered by a glaring red glow. After which, it was accompanied by a frightening momentum as it smashed furiously toward Xiao Yan below. Xiao Yan raised his head. He looked at the fiery red color that filled his eyes. A cold smile also slowly rose on his face. He raised his hand and his sleeves fell. After which, a beautiful, three-colored fire lotus appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Tang Zhen's expression instantly changed the moment the three-colored fire lotus appeared.